Welcome to Survivor New York's new series called A Winning Game, where we sit and chat with a winner from the series and discuss how they came to be the winner of that season. Today I'm joined by McKenna, a Survivor New York executive producer, and our current reigning champion, Jack. McKenna, how are you doing?
I am so excited to be here because this was my first season with a peek behind the curtain for Survivor New York. I've been on production pretty much since season five, after I played, and let me help you design some of the twists, some of the challenges of this season. So I'm excited to get to talk to Jack.
Jack, how are you doing?
I'm feeling fantastic. I'm pumped. I'm ready to talk and blab about all the things that I was doing out in the woods for 4 days.
I'm sure you love to talk about yourself a little bit too, right?
No, Jack?
No, I mean sometimes, not all the time.
So let's jump right into it. Jack, can you discuss with us your journey with Survivor New York a little bit and about everything before arriving to the campground?
If we want to go way back, I was an alternate for season four because I had stumbled across the edited episodes when I was like a big fan of like College Survivor and things like that. And I was like, New York, that's close to where I live. I can do this. But I was young, I was in college. I'm honestly kind of glad that I was an alternate or like was not ready to be on Survivor New York. And then for years afterwards, the timing just never worked out with the dates. So I never applied until A New Horizon, where I was like, I'm quitting my teaching job. I'm going to have the time in the summer to dedicate the 4 days to this. And I'm going to show up and I'm going to do what I got to do in order to win, which, whew, thank goodness that happened. Uh, Gearing up for Survivor New York was just a lot of different things I had to think about because I had played a couple of like one day or like different LRGs leading up to Survivor New York, and I was not getting the success that, of course, I think I deserve. Um, so I came into this really trying to embody the theme of A New Horizon, where I'm like, I'm turning over a new leaf for myself. I'm going to do and say everything that I have said I'm going to do for however many years I've been a Survivor fan. So that was the kind of the pressure I put on myself and like the mindset I had going into it. Um, but I was trying to keep it calm until the day of, and then I got really excited.
All right, Jack, let's dive into the actual gameplay. Let's talk about the early days. What were your impressions of people on day zero? It's not officially the game, but we all know it's the game. What was the first night like?
Well, let me just say that I did not know that there was going to be a day zero. I fully showed up with my backpack that had a book in it because I just thought we were going to be sequestered away from each other and then it would start the morning of Friday. So when I showed up and they were like, okay, give me your phone, give me your watch, here's your water bottle, here's your bag, go. I was like, oh. So I was not prepared to be talking to 10 to 20 people in those like first few hours. So that was kind of something that I had to just be calm about, go into it. I am an introvert, which I think surprises a lot of people. I think when I get nervous, that's when I just start blabbering and saying things that really don't make sense or like trying to be funny, things like that. So I think that nervous energy did help on day zero, but it was very difficult to establish relationships with 20 other people. Like when everyone's just like in a big circle and then like everyone's trying to play a social game and I just want to have a good time. I don't want to have to feel like I'm playing the game already. I just want to like be in the experience for 5 minutes before it starts. So honestly, like watching people talk to each other, I don't know if in that moment, like I was like, ooh, yeah, like this is my final two, or ooh, yeah, like this person's definitely connecting with this person. I think it was all just such a blur for me. Honestly, that whole day zero talking around. I that was the most nervous I think I was the entire game.
If as someone who lived it, yes, day zero is a lot of just talking and mingling and trying to say the right things. So it is intimidating, but it is a lot of fun to be able to talk to everyone that you might not be able to in the game.
Exactly.
Is there anybody that stood out at all if you have to pick one person that day zero? Either a good way or a
Yes.
bad way?
Happy belated birthday, Dave.
Yes.
But this kind of led to the reason, which we'll probably talk about when we're in the Ovada world. But I was noticing that Dave in particular was going around to people. Oh, I'll help you with that. Oh, I'll help you. Oh, can I refill your water? Oh, like let me. When I was watching him move around the circle, I was like, he is playing a social game. Like, I was like, I don't think I'm getting to know Dave. I feel like I'm getting to just see Dave the player. So I think that partially led to the events that were to follow. But other than that, I was watching people, and then people came like minutes before we started like the schoolyard pick and the first opening reward challenge. So I didn't really even get a chance to know everybody.
Mm.
So that was the hard part about it too, because it's like it's weird to be like, okay, talk to this person for 5 minutes and then be like, I'm gonna rotate in the circle now. It's like it's awkward for everybody,
Yeah.
especially awkward for me.
So, Jack, moving on to day one, what was your original tribe like? Obviously, all before the swap. You spent most of that time saved, except for the first vote. What was the tribe dynamic really like over there? And at that first tribal council, why was Dave the vote?
What's interesting to me is that a lot of the Avada tribe dynamics in the moment was something that I was not truly privy to. I wouldn't necessarily say I was on the outs, but I definitely wasn't on the in. Uh, so day zero, when we're building the tent and people are grabbing the wrong poles and making us rebuild the tent like 3 times over, I'm trying to build connections with people. I feel good about Miranda. I know Victoria from the online survivor world. Penny and I rode in the car together on the way to the game. I thought we weren't allowed to talk in the car, so I didn't really say anything. And then Raul and Dave were like buddying. Deontay and I were making eyes with each other, being like, okay, like watching things going on. But going into day one, really, like I woke up being like, I'm not like in an alliance. I don't feel like I'm anyone's closest person as of yet. And that was making me a little bit nervous. The only thing I really had a grasp on was the fact that Dave and Raul's partnership or relationship was so obviously tight. They were constantly going off and chatting with each other. They were bonding over things. And I'm just watching them and I'm like, I don't fit into that. So because I don't fit into it, I need to find partnership and allies elsewhere. But I wasn't just getting that immediate, like, yes, you and me till the end. Yes, you and me until the end. So I was kind of just like tiptoeing around a little bit nervous, honestly. And when we got to the first immunity challenge, you explained to us that 4 people are going to be crossing a balance beam and using a grappling hook to get bags of puzzle pieces. At the same time, one person is going to be running deep into the woods and getting a 5th bag of puzzle pieces. Of course, my spidey senses go off. I'm like, well, why are we doing things at the same time? That's because the thing in the woods is going to take forever because there's like an amulet situation, there's an advantage situation, or whatever. At this point, I kind of felt like I was already putting myself out there based on being a schoolyard pick captain on day zero, volunteering to be on the puzzle, screaming during the puzzle on day zero. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was excited. I was doing the most. I was feeling the energy. It was fun. But I was like, I want an advantage. And Raul was also fighting to be a runner. And I was like, I've run a half marathon. I'm doing it. So I really put my foot down for that. It was just a shot in the dark, and then the knowledge that there were shot in the darks in the game. So I was like, okay, well, oh well. Like, I didn't think it was really necessary for me to volunteer and like potentially put that target on my back, but it did allow for Dave to flop on the grappling hook. So it didn't really affect me too much in the moment. Now, when we got back to camp after we lost, that's where things were getting a little precarious because I had a shot in the dark. Then there was a note that said the shot in the dark's everywhere. I grabbed another shot in the dark out of the tree. And then the first conversation I had was with Dave. Weird what that I would gravitate towards talking to him first when like him and I had not really vibed. I think I was trying to stop him from throwing my name out to somebody before talking with me. So I was trying to play a little defense here. I did ask to hold his hand, or I just held his hand off to a conversation, and I think that instantly like set us off on a negative. Sorry, Dave. Didn't mean. I thought it'd be cute. It wasn't cute or whatever. And then we talked for maybe 10 seconds, and he's like, "Let's go look for advantages." And I was like, "Okay, so you don't want to work with me." It became very clear. I was like, him and I we're just not gonna work out, and that was fine because the next conversation I had was with Miranda, and she was like, "Dave is playing games. He's got to go." And I was like, "Sweet." I don't know what games he was playing at that moment, but it turns out that him and Raul had an alliance. They talked to Miranda about making a 3-person alliance, and then Penny talked to Miranda. There was just a lot of conversations where Dave was trying to build alliances, but not telling the people he was trying to build the alliances with that he already talked to other people. So he was just setting off weird vibes from the get-go. So I was fine with the Dave vote, of course. And from what I heard from Miranda, the other name was Deontay. So I was like, yay, I'm not going home first. This is fantastic news. Then I talked to Deontay, and Deontay lets me know, hey, they're voting for you, meaning me. And I was like, well, duh, they're going to tell you to vote me because they're voting for you. No. I wish that that was the truth, but it was not true. So it turns out that Dave and Raul had their sights set on me or whatever. And then they were just going to be voting for me, and the rest of us were going to be voting for Dave. Now, moments before tribal council, I'm at the fire pit, and I look under, and I see the Beware advantage. Because we know Beware advantages are in the game. I forget if that was tree mail or if that was something I found when I went for the run in the woods. Regardless, I knew the Beware advantage was there. But everybody was standing around the gosh dang fire pit at the same time I was. And then they're like, okay, it's time to go to tribal. Our amazing tribe handlers told us. So I couldn't grab it. So then when we're at tribal council and Dave plays the shot in the dark, I think he called out a 2, but he rolled a 3. So I was one number away from going home with 1 vote. So it was at that moment where it clicked in my brain, and I was like, Jack, if you don't go balls to the wall and just like unleash every ounce of energy you have in your body, you're not winning this game. You're not. So Dave went home. Raul voted for me. Flop. Love you, Raul. And when we got back to camp, our lovely food man, I forget his name. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry
Joe?
to that man. Joe, yes, Joe, iconic. He was like, I got some leftover coffee for y'all if you want it. That's not his voice. That's just the voice I'm giving him at this moment. And my tribe beelines it to get like this little sliver of like leftover coffee that the crew was able to have, not us. So he giggles.
Oh my God, the secrets I'm learning.
This is the behind the scenes info you need to know. Everyone goes sprinting, like literally all 5 of my other tribe members. And I don't drink coffee. I drink Celsius, as we know. And I stay back at camp and I'm watching them all run. And then the light bulb goes off. It's like, Jack, grab the Beware advantage right now. So I try and like yank it out softly, and then it doesn't budge because they just like wedged it in there. So I had to like kick over the stone, and then like dust is flying up in the air, and I grab it and I shove it in my pants. And I was like, that was the most obvious idol grab ever. But then I look over and they're all like, yay, coffee. I don't think anyone saw me grab the idol in the moment, but I've actually never gotten official
Ooh.
confirmation of like who knew I had an idol throughout the time in the game, except for Josh and Nicole later on. So that's Ovada, baby. That's my story with Ovada.
Wow, that was a tale. That
I
I
love
did
that.
not know because I was not in camp. So thank you for enlightening us for that one round of Ovana.
I have to say, like, it's interesting because I know he's not like a fan favorite, but it clicks like kind of like Chris from Vanuatu, like having such a flop first round and then just like pivoting upwards to winning the whole game. Like, I feel like that happens to a lot of people where they really start on the nitty gritty bottom, and then there's really no place for you to go but up, and it it worked. It really did.
It's
Um,
also great how to learn how people are talking to you as well on your tribe and see, oh, they're telling me it's Deontay is the other name. All right, great. Oh no, now I know they're lying for the next round that you survived.
Mhm.
so what was the life of Avada like for those next three rounds?
Yeah, so this is where I think it continues where it's like I don't understand why I can never find like my person on Ovada. But Raul came up to me immediately after like we won the second challenge and was like, "Hey, I voted for you. The reason why I voted for you was because it was supposed to be Deontay, but Miranda told us to vote for you instead." Miranda said, "What now?" So I'm like, "Oh, come on now." Like I mean, sure, maybe, yeah, but like you voted for me. But I have a mentality in Survivor where like I don't allow myself to retaliate because it just like closes options off. So I didn't just want to immediately write Raul off like, you voted for me, you're going home next, blah 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 blah. Because what if there was another idol he found? What if like there was some way for him to maneuver and then all of a sudden like I'm on the bottom, right? So I didn't want to close that door, but then I was also just making me doubt my relationship with like almost everyone in the tribe because I think I was trying to make like a strong secret alliance with Victoria, but like her and I didn't really talk that much. And I think like in hindsight, I know that she already had like alliances with other people. I didn't feel like Penny was my number one. I mean, I love Penny, my queen. And I felt like Miranda and Deontay were closer than I was with either of them. So I was great that we won challenges. I mean, I think I felt my highest high when Raul bullied me into holding the cube up for 20 gosh darn minutes while Penny and Miranda took their sweet time on that dragon puzzle. So I mean, it was weird that I didn't feel completely secure strategically, but like I felt great otherwise.
So, all right, Jack. Now we're gonna go on to the swap. You get swapped onto arguably the strongest tribe formation that you could in the game, and you win every challenge except for one. Tell me a little bit about the tribe dynamic and why it was Raul that you voted out. Clearly, we've seen some tension with Raul, but you just said you didn't want to close options. So, how did we get there?
Yeah, so getting swapped, or like we had a schoolyard pick, and I ended up on Alba. And it was very interesting because the two people I ended up on Alba with for my original tribe were Miranda and Raul. So it's the person who voted for me, and then also the person that Raul said is the reason that Raul voted for me. So I'm already like, oh no, what do I do? Because I don't know if I can completely trust Miranda or if I can completely trust Raul. So I'm looking at the two other tribes who came into this with me, and I'm like, well, what do we got? And what we have is Sam from Survivor Pennsylvania, which I had watched. So I knew that she is a loyalty queen. I know that she values loyalty pretty much over a lot of other things. I would say almost everything. I don't know. But she also came in with Josh, which was someone I think I talked to briefly on day zero, but we also like had mini conversations because Josh, Nicole, and I were the runners in the first immunity challenge. So in my mind, I was instantly like, maybe Josh and Sam is the route that I need to go. Because on the other hand, we had Jamie, Nicole, and Michael who came in from green, and they were being very cagey about what had happened at the Green Tribal Council that was right before the swap. Like, I don't remember the exact lies or things that they were saying at the moment, but they weren't just outright saying Michael needed his shoe tied to get an idol and then Sarah got voted out unanimously. So I was like, why are we not just saying that if that's the truth? It just red flags for me. So because my tribe was so dominant, on the other tribe, Penny gets voted out. Victoria gets voted out. And then eventually Deontay gets voted out. So it's like my original orange numbers are gone. And I'm left with Miranda and Raul, who I don't necessarily trust. Like, I think I trusted Penny, Victoria, and Deontay more than Miranda and Raul. So I'm like, well, I think I need to dive headfirst into this new alliance with Josh and Sam. Because, I mean, now I think I said this in every confessional. I was like, I'm working with Josh. He's my number one, but I don't trust a man in his 30s. I think that still rang true, but I think because Sam was there, it was giving me like, okay, if I really throw everything at Josh, like make him my person, I'm gonna have Sam too. Because I was like, I can try and fight to be Sam's number one, but if she's a loyalty queen, she probably already has a number one. So I'm not gonna fit that bill. Whereas I felt Josh was a little bit more malleable in terms of allegiances. And then also, at one point, Nicole and Jamie came up to us and said, "We'll vote Michael out. We'll vote him out." And this was before we were revealed what he did at the tribal. So we're just like, what? Why are you just okay with voting out one of your numbers? It just seemed strange. So when we're voting out Raul, I didn't vote out Raul because I did not have a vote. Because what I had come to learn was that the other two Beware advantages became very publicly known that it's do weird stuff at tribal council. What? Michael's was get someone to tie their shoe. Suzanne's was pick up a rock and pretend it's a phone. Very strange, weird things. Mine was just switch seats with someone.
You got the easy one.
I did get the easy. Thank you, Surviving New York Gods, for giving me the so-called easy one. But it's harder when people are already on the lookout of like, what weird things are you doing at Tribal? So because we had won so much, I was like, okay, well, maybe we're fine because the rules state that I lose my vote until the merge. So when we lost our one challenge, I was like, I don't think I need to risk switching seats right now if it's going to be a unanimous Raul vote. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to sit on my hands and, do what I got to do. Because at this point, I didn't know if I could trust Josh with the information that I had the Beware advantage. I could not trust Miranda and Raul. I had nobody to tell that I had this advantage. Not that that was my goal. I wanted to keep it to myself, of course. But like, obviously, like, if I can't get someone to naturally switch seats with me, I need somebody who knows and will just do it with me. But I didn't have that person yet. And I was like, I don't think I can finagle switching seats with someone at random. So I was just like, Raul's going home? Okay. And I sat on my hands. And then I made the merge.
Merge time. We had 3 merge challenges and tribals. Yes, you made the merge. We had 3 merge challenges and tribals back to back before we ended the night. Tell us about the behind the scenes stuff going on and what that final night was for the 8 people going into the final day. Explain that whole like early merge process.
Yeah. This is where like the first instance of like luck helping me win this game came into play. Because we merged, we had an individual immunity challenge, and then we went right into strategizing and right to the vote. There was no, you made the merge feast, you made the merge break. So I think because the swapped Alba tribe already had that momentum built up from winning all the challenges, like we were all like, we're going to make it to day 3, no matter what. Sorry to the Tanasi people. And I think that's where I really benefited from the schedule because if there was a break where like there was more time allowed for us to mingle, I think very I could have been the merge boot very easily. Because I think if Nasi was going to stay strong and try and get one of the Alba people out, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I wasn't really annoying. So like I think realistically they could have maybe got somebody to flip if they had the time, but they didn't. So it did not work out for them. So with the first merge vote, Mega was immune. Christos and I had played an online game years ago, which I forgot. He came up to me on day zero and was like, "Oh my God, from Redacted." And I was like, "Sure." All right. So at least there was some sort of connection there. And then when leaning between Chris and Sandra, I had a conversation with each of them. And like Sandra just seemed like a straight shooter for me. Like I could kind of get a read of like exactly what her game was like. Chris, I'm like 100% certain came up to me. He's like, "I'm just trying to play a really honest and loyal game." And I listened to that and I said, "You gotta go." Because I need players here who are gonna be more flexible and willing to do different things. And I was like, if you are just saying you're gonna be loyal and all this, that's not helping me win. So you need to be the first member of the jury, is what I said. And I think the rest of like my alliance. Now, this is where 4 days of like semi starvation, like apparently there was a 6-person alliance that I was in. I could not tell you who's in that. And I think it's like a big major like factor as to like my success of like who like 6 people like going into the merge. I could not tell you who they were. I think because I had strong relationships with a lot of different people, like keeping track of who the 6 main people were, not on the top of my priority list, that's for sure. So, but at least my alliance agreed and we voted out Chris there. So, worked out for me.
Well, the next one's kind of like a doozy for sure, because everything
Yeah.
sort of flipped.
Yeah. And I had nothing to
Uh,
do with it, which I was okay with because we all know that I was just doing the most. Like from round two, like say, I have to talk about it because this is like the defining moment of like my character and strategy. After Dave got voted out and we walked up to the round two tribal or immunity challenge, you're like, "Dave voted out the first tribal council," and everyone's like, "What? What? That's crazy!" And then you ask Sam, you're like, "Sam, well, what are your thoughts on Dave being the first one out?" And Sam goes, I'm just really shocked because he was playing a really good social game." And then because I can't keep my mouth shut, I listened to that comment and I was like, do we know what game we're playing? Because if you're playing a good social game, you would still be in the game. Especially like you would survive a first vote in my head. So I stupidly said out loud, "Did he?" And then the whole cast went, "Ooh." And then I was like, "Uh-oh." Wrong crowd. So I think this is where I kind of pivoted like in my brain as well, where it's like because I already like established that this is just like my humor, like what I say, whatever. I can't just go back on it and like be fake or like be nice or like whatever. So I had to lean into it in order to like aid my strategy. So my whole mindset from like there on forward was like, yeah, be loud, be competitive, like stay like trash talk, do the things so that that's your persona. He is just like a brainless trash talker and just obnoxious. And that also translated to like strategy where like I would see people go off and talking and be like, "You're voting me out, right?" Just just so if they were talking about me, their brains would immediately pivot to, "Oh my God, he's so annoying," but not, "We're gonna vote him out now." I don't know where that came up in my brain, but I listen, I think it's late. But when it came to voting Jamie out, it just kind of came out of nowhere a little bit for me because it all stemmed from Miranda, Jamie, and Sam going on a journey after the first merge immunity challenge, and they each got a number to a safe that was in the woods that had an idol in it, but they only got the numbers after surviving the merge vote. Whatever that means. I already have. I don't have an idol yet at this point, but I'm like, that's a lot of work for an idol. I just got to switch seats with someone. So the plan, I believe, from what I've been told, was that Sam was going to be the one to go get the idol because Sam smokes cigarettes. She has a reason to go off into the woods by herself. Now, before Sam was able to do that, Jamie went into the woods to look for the idol. Sam wasn't happy about that. Sam was not happy about that. Sam basically came up to Josh and I immediately. He was like, Jamie's got to go because we had this plan and she went against it. And I'm like, I was hesitant because I was like, can we get the rest of our alliance to go along with this plan? Because I'm like, in our alliance, like we have Nicole who was with Jamie from the start. Like we have like Michael. Like, are they going to want to vote out Jamie? So then they have a conversation with Nicole, and Nicole's like, yeah, I want Jamie out. And I was like, oh, I thought this was going to be the most difficult move to pull off, but apparently everyone's thoughts are aligned here. So yeah, Jamie went home. I didn't really have a big say in that. I mean, I do think that Jamie was like a really big threat to win the game. Like, she was killing the puzzles. Like, I thought I was a puzzle master, but like, Jamie was insane when it came to puzzles. Like, I was partnered with her on the Michelle Tower, and we saw that in literally 10 seconds. It was insane. Like the puzzle on top of the cliff, whatever, like incredible. But like, that's crazy that like we were able to take Jamie out just like that. It seemed too easy at this point. It was very strange.
I
I don't
remember
know.
that, like that round, and I remember that moment for sure with the cage idol, and it was that they had to vote together at the first tribal council. It was an idea that I had come up with to have possibly three random people have to work together in order to get this idol. And I think that sort of was a big turning point in the merge, and it helped sort of give the people on the bottom a chance um, to survive an extra round. But going into the next vote, it looks like the original alliance is sticking back together. So, what was that like?
This was such an interesting vote because we very much were just aligned with it's going to be Megan or Sandra, but everybody had different opinions on who it should be. And there was also alliance drama because I honestly can't remember because it's the end of day two or whatever. Our brains are fried at this point. But I think there's like underlying tension between Josh and Miranda because of things that were like said about like different people's threat level, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, can we just make it an easy vote or Megan or Sam? Like, we don't got to do all this. We just we just need to make it through this till we go to sleep. And, you know, from my perspective, and this is why I push for Megan to go, is that anytime I tried to have a conversation with Megan after the merge, she would just ask me like personal questions. And no, that's fine. Like I loved the break in pace a little bit. Like when you're going a million miles a minute, to have somebody just be like, how are you? Like it's nice. But when I'm thinking strategically into the game, I'm like, okay, you have not initiated a strategic conversation with me, so I don't think I'm in your plans going forward. So that to me is why I was like, Megan needs to go here versus Sandra. And to me, I was like, Sandra and I are not working together, but I don't think Sandra has enough relationships with everyone here remaining to do anything against me. So I was like, for me, it's better if Sandra's here than Megan. And why was this vote randomly 5-4? I could not tell you. I think people had their own individual agendas and they just decided to stick to what they believed in. So it was very interesting, to say the least.
Jack, were there a lot of people? Because you mentioned earlier, if you had more time before the merge to strategize or get to know each other, that maybe something could have been different. So now you go into the night were people just tired and wanted to get to sleep and just rest, or were the wheels turning?
Um, well, the wheels weren't really turning for me because at this point at the Jamie Tribal Council is when I finally was able to switch seats with Sandra using my ploy of, oh, my back hurts sitting on this top. I need to switch with somebody. Um, and then Sandra was like, I'll switch with you. And I'm like, sure. All right. So I was fine. I had told Josh about my Beware advantage at this point, and like he locked in number one with him. I randomly lied to him and said that this was a merge Beware advantage because I did not want him to know I did not vote at the Raoul Tribal Council. I don't know why I was doing all that. Did not did not need to do that. But I finished that reward challenge and I was getting ready for bed. And I'm like, I feel really secure with Josh. I feel great with Sam. I feel decent enough with Miranda, even though she had some like tricks up her sleeve that I did not know about. And like, I feel good about my chances in the morning. So I had the idol in my pants. I crawled into my sleeping bag and I slept.
You participated in every challenge. So what was your favorite challenge that you did?
I think it's a tie between obviously the tribal challenge where Raul and I held up the cube. I think that was a moment where I really proved that like it's mind over matter. You just gotta like when you gotta do something, you gotta just do it. And he was coaching me. Like I think that bonded Raul and I like so much, like more than I ever thought. Because him and I did not have a great like game relationship, but I think that like we were becoming like friends like through that challenge and like through other moments. Sorry you had to go, Raul. Love you, King. Your baby's cute. And like for individual, I think it was the final four challenge, the multi-stage with a word puzzle that we all struggled with. Because when I tell you that on the train ride up, I studied that word puzzle. So it always goes to show all you Survivor superfans sitting on the couch and you're like, I could have figured out that word scramble in 2 seconds. I memorized that exact one because they had used it the season before. So I was like, oop, keep your torch lit. You better keep that on your mind. Yet here I am saying picture Keat lore and thinking it's correct. Like 3 days in Survivor, regardless of how like real versus like, light it is, it does mess with your brain a little bit. A lot of it. Because when I finally figured it out, I was like, oh, you silly goose. And then at that point, Josh was copying me. Everyone was copying me. And then I got to the pyramid puzzle and then I was like, terrified. But I put that pyramid together really fast. And then I kicked it over. I felt like Michelle Fitzgerald.
All right, the final day. Give us the lowdown. Did you feel like you were in control? When did you know about the final two versus the final three? Who were your best allies? Who was your worst enemy? Sorry, this is a lot of questions. What made you
I'm
want to
ready to
go to
answer
the
them
final
all.
four? Say that again.
I'm ready to answer them all.
And also, what made you go to the final four with Nicole, Sam, and Josh? What made you go to the end with Josh? These are all the questions we're dying to know.
So I woke up on day three very confident. And because of my confidence in sleeping well, like I woke up like 1 to 2 hours after everybody else. Because I woke up and the tent was empty and everyone was idle hunting on the hill and doing, and I'm like, oh, I gotta make it look because at this point I'm like, oh no, they're gonna think I have something because I'm just sleeping comfortably. But I was just sleeping comfortably. So I got up and I start searching for an idol. This is before the auction. And this is where I thought my control of the game, or like the control of the game I thought I was playing, was getting lost because of like two specific blunders. And that was idol hunting with Christos, who at this point we weren't, number one allies. And I kid you not, I look at this hill. There's this big stump with a gigantic hole in the center. And I point to it and I'm like, Christos, I bet there's something in there. I walk, and I look in. There's just a bag sitting. And I pull it out. And Christos sees me pull it out. And I'm like, oh no. because it's like great, I have a second idol. Fantastic. Christos saw me find it. So now I have to like tell people I have this. But then I'm like, but I have an idol that nobody knows about. I'm like, oh, this is just like the worst possible thing that could happen to me. So I get a group with Josh and Michael, and I'm like, I found an idol. And they're like, what? Josh is like, show it to me, show it to me, show it to me. I was like, okay. So Josh and I went to the bathroom, and I was so nervous because both of them are in, my pants. So I had to like strategically maneuver so that I only pulled out the bag of the idol. That like, whatever. There was a lot of things happening. So I pull out this bag. I dump the thing out. It has the note that says, this is the hidden immunity idol, here are the rules. But then it's a string with beads on it. 3 orange beads, 3 green beads, and 3 purple beads. And I'm like, ding, 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 I recognize these beads because they were the beads that were tied to my Beware Advantage idol when I received it. So I was like, well, this is not real. So I was like, who planted this fake immunity idol? And like, I'm telling Josh, I'm like, Josh, this is not a real idol because like this was wrapped in my Beware Advantage from the Ovada tribe. By the way, sorry, I lied. It's not the merge idol. It's the Ovada idol. He's like, oh, I don't care. Why he did not care that I lied to him will never. That honestly confirmed at that moment that I was taking him to the final 2. It was the moment that he did not care that I lied to him. Love you, Josh. But I was like, why? Why is this so easy for me to work with you? Like, this is weird. I dump out the bag just a little bit more, and 3 green beads pop out. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me, Michael. Because my Beware Advantage had 3 orange beads tied around it. So I'm like, Michael had the original green Beware Advantage from having his shoe tied or whatever. So he threw the beads in with the note. And when I tell you, like, just placed it inside the tree stump, because when I tell you I was up like an hour or 2 after everybody else, how did nobody else find this? How did I find it? So it was like that. It was the beads. And then I was like, it's fake. And at that moment I clocked, I was like, you were in the conversation with me and you knew that the idol I had found was planted by you and not real. And so I was like, no, he's got to go. But that's where I was like potentially almost losing control of the game, because it's like, now I have a fake idol that everyone knows about, but now they might be like, ooh, maybe it is real and he's just lying about it. But like, I had a real one in my crotch the whole time. Stressful. And then at the auction, another thing that happened. Listen, this is very annoying because I bought Parvati's memoir, Nice Girls Don't Win. And I was like, whoa, I don't have to pay for it. I'm like, this is great. Well, I mean, I bought it with the Chris dollars, but like I didn't have to spend like my actual money on it. I'm like, fantastic. I posed with it. Christos, hey, can I see that real quick? Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, here's the book. There's an extra vote in there, and I just gave it away. So like, it was those 2 moments, or those 2 like blunders where I was like, oh my God, did I just like screw everything up in the morning of day 3? But then I turned them into good things, right? It made my relationship with Josh stronger. And also like confirmed to me I'm taking him to the final 2 because I think I could beat him. And then also like was like, oh, Michael's got to go. And then it's like, okay. Because of the next tribal council, we made the plan with Christos to use that extra vote that he stole from me to try and get Miranda out. So it was like bad things that were happening to me, but I turned them into things that were better for my game. So listen, the beginning of day 3 was rough for me. But we somehow got through it, except Miranda had an idol, so, or whatever, that was given to her by Sam. I don't get it. And then Christos went home. But Christos went to the jury knowing that I tried to work with him. Because at this point, I'm like, Chris is on the jury. I don't have a relationship with him. Jamie's on the jury. Blindsided her. Megan's on the jury. She really only knows like what goes on in my life, right? I was like, Christos is the first person who like sees the strategic value in me going to the jury. because that I think that's like a fault to my game, and like another reason like as to why like luck helped me out, because I don't think I win in a final three. I think it was very, very lucky that I somehow predicted or like manifested in my brain that it was a final two. And I never found out from the date that Michael went on. The so behind the scenes tips that you don't know for the viewers at home is that Survivor New York, it's like on multiple campsites, right? So like when we're strategizing, we're like decently close to the tribal council area. So like and I don't want to jump ahead too much here, but when we're doing the vote for Final Four, and you see at the tribal council area some production members experimenting with a challenge that you have not seen yet,
Oh God.
you think to yourself, it might be we might have another challenge. It's a final two. So that was the confirmed moment for me. But I had already had kind of an inkling in my brain.
All right, Jack, give us the elevator pitch of Michael to Sam and how that final day wrapped up.
Right. Michael was the snake. He had to go. And he caught me telling Miranda I was going after him, so he really needed to go. um, I told Sandra straight to her face that I was not working with her and I was not going to bring her any further in the game. And I knew that other people who she thought were her allies were lying to her. So I thought sending her out of the game there would be great. Very strange though, Sam and Nicole could have taken control of the game at the final six there, but they gave the power to Josh and I when we were splitting the votes between Sandra and Miranda, and they let us be the votes for Miranda, so we were able to flip it to Sandra. Very, I think, a strategic blunder by Sam and Nicole. I think they could have won the game if they had set up the split vote so that they were the votes for Miranda. And Final Five, Miranda was the biggest threat. She had like played three idols at this point. I love my Ovada girl down, but I could not be her. And at this point, like Sam, Nicole, Josh, and I were like a very tight alliance, I think. So I just felt like it was better to go with that than try and work with Miranda and then somehow make it to the end. Nicole was voted out of Final Four because I thought that the jury would perceive her in a more positive light than how they would view Sam, Josh, and I together. I was like, some of the things that I've done, some of the things that Josh has done, some of the things that Sam done, like they could look at negatively. I look at Nicole, she never had any votes cast against her at that point. She was lovely. She was personable. I would have voted for her to win. She had to go. And then when I won the final two, the reason I took Josh or voted out Sam, I guess there's like two different reasons here. I made every move in the game like with Josh like in my corner, and I saw everything that he was doing. And I was like, I think I have more than him. And I also paid attention to the way that he answered questions at Tribal Council. And he was always like whispering and like never saying things with confidence. So in my head, I was hoping that would translate to final Tribal Council performance, where I would seemingly come across as more confident and like more sure of my game versus he might seem a little bit more insecure of how he played. And then Sam was doing things behind the scenes that I didn't know about in the moment that I thought were great enough for her to win over me at the end. Like giving her idol to Miranda, things like that. I just felt like she played a different game to me. And I think if she was sitting next to me, I would have voted for her too, probably. So I think my only winning scenario was getting to the final two with Josh, and I kind of recognized that from the start of day three. So I needed to make sure that that was what happened.
So, Jack, you make it to the final two along with Josh. What was your opinion on the jury going into the final tribal council? And were you surprised by the result?
So I think going into final tribal council, I was trying less to think about like, ooh, would this juror vote for me? Would this juror vote for me? And just think about, is my game stronger than Josh's? And I was like, yes. So it's just about saying it to attract 5 jurors to vote for you. And that was kind of my intention going into it. Josh was trying to throw me off my game when we were sitting back at camp before it started by saying, "Ooh, I'm going to bring up some things that you didn't know about, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, I don't think so. I was like, I really don't think you have any tricks up your sleeve that are going to shock me here. So I did go into it with an overconfidence, I think. And I think that potentially like could have cost me. But I think that my blunders were not as bad as like the way that Josh was pitching his game and like rubbing jurors the wrong way. I think in particular, when you think about Sandra's question, like that's one that sticks out to me because she very clearly defined what a ride or die meant for her. And when Josh's definition was completely different, I just felt the energy where I was like, ooh, I got her vote though. But like, oh, yikes. It was so there was like a lot of like mixed emotions and mixed feelings like throughout the final tribal council. Like there were, I was feeling high, I was feeling super low, I was feeling a lot of different things. I think by the end of it, I had like completely checked out. Like my brain and my mind and everything that I was feeling like was like, I need to get out of here, but I can't, which I think helped me grow as a person. I think not being able to like run away from like problems or anything like that like helped me grow. But sitting there, I was like, at this point, I don't. If I win or lose, I don't. It's gonna feel weird. It's gonna feel very weird. So I I think I wasn't completely surprised that I won, but I was surprised that the margin was so huge. Yeah, but the first 4 votes were read out as me, and I was like, I did not win this game unanimously after all of that. Like there's absolutely no way. I didn't feel like I deserved it at that point. And then he read the one Josh vote, and I was like, yep, here it goes. Like Josh, 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 Josh. And then he read the 5th vote for me, and I broke down like completely. Like I achieved something that I knew I could do. I was just like shocked that I made it work, and like I didn't really try and play a game or like try and be this like strategic, like I do feel like I played that game authentically like as myself. I do think I amplified a lot of aspects of my personality for strategic reasons or whatever, but it was just so, I was crying a lot. That's what I remember. That was the feeling.
That's fair.
So you are the winner. You are crowned the winner of Survivor New York New Horizon. What was it like moments after winning the game, days after winning the game, months after winning the game, close to a year after winning a game?
Yikes, I'm gonna have to pass off my crown in the next few months. I'm not looking forward to that. But like honestly, I feel like I blacked out, but I didn't because I remember it was like the feeling of like you're so out of body, but like I do remember the things I did. I cried in my hands. I stood up. I hugged Josh. I hugged all the jurors, and I got my phone. I was like, oh my god! And then I wanted to FaceTime my partner and my mom. And I think my partner didn't answer first, so I called my mom, and then she answered, and then she was watching, and she was like, ah, and I was like, I don't know, I like don't even know what to say to my mom right now. I like literally couldn't say anything. I was just so excited and like crying, and then I called my partner, same thing. It's like there's no words coming out of my mouth. I'm just like, I want, and then so very quickly, like everyone's gone. It's such a strange, like very, very strange feeling to win after like hitting a very low to then everyone being gone, and you have like no way to really like decompress about it. It's just like I have no one to talk to right now. It was strange. And Sandra stole my Apple Watch, but I mean, other than that,
Wait, really?
yes. So our Apple Watches were just like floating in the box, and I guess we both have the basic like black band or whatever. So she took mine, I took hers, and we had to mail it back to each other. But it's, um, but Laura, lovely. Shout out Laura, drove me home, and she was like, "You can say whatever you need in this drive home," and I just like. Pew, pew, blah, 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 blah. And she was a great listener, and I really appreciate Laura. Shout out Laura, bring her back for All Stars, yay! I ordered so much McDonald's to be waiting for me. Like the moment that I stepped out of Laura's car and walked up the steps, it would be sitting there. When I tell you, I could not eat it. Chris, I was sick for 4 days. I couldn't eat normally and I couldn't like exercise or everything was just so dysregular for like almost a week after. So like I was lucky that like I had quit my teaching job. I had nothing to do. Um, but I was like, oh my God, people went to work Monday morning. I was like, what's wrong with them? Like I was like, I mean, that's what you gotta do, I guess, to play a game like this. But I was like, 4 days really messed me up.
Mhm.
So like that's what I mean, physically that's what it was like after the game. And like of course, like emotionally, I was in such a strange place and I wanted to like feel involved with like my cast and like the production, but I really felt like I hurt people. So like admittedly, I kept my distance for months, I think. Like I like people exchange phone numbers. I was like, oh, like call me, whatever. I just like couldn't do it. Like it was so strange. And like I think like potentially like there were friendships that I could have had that like I could have had really strong friendships with some cast members. I still think I'm working towards like making stronger relationships and friendships with like people on my cast just because I still feel weird about it. I don't know. It's like I feel weird winning. It's like winner's guilt, survivor's guilt. Like it's so strange that like we all had the same experience, but like because I won, I feel different.
Mhm.
But I mean, other than that, like it was great that I was able to like go out and like prove myself and like learn a lot about myself too. Like I didn't think I had much left to learn about me, but I sure as heck did. Uh uh I made so many like horrendous mistakes out there, like strategically, personally, and like I never was somebody who like felt like my words had impact. Like I didn't feel like anything I said really mattered. I think through Survivor New York, I learned like extremely like in the worst way, like how impactful I can be. Um, so it's something I've taken away from it and I've like tried to improve myself a lot like over the last like few months. And I hope to continue doing so. I'm still 28. I'm still young. Still got time to grow and learn. And I'm glad that Survivor New York was like an experience for me to fail and also be successful and also find places where I'm weak and need to grow at.
Yeah, it's a lot of emotions thrown at you all in one weekend, and it is tough to handle, but um I know so many people in the Survivor New York community would be happy to lend that ear, so I'm glad Laura was that person for you right after the game.
Yeah, and I feel like that information is very important for me to hear because, I want everyone to have an amazing experience afterward. And I think a lot of live reality game hosts don't think that the winner could potentially have a negative experience after winning or feel that sort of way. So they're the last person that the host would want to check on because all the other people lost and were lied to. So it definitely has opened my eyes of, everyone deserves somebody to decompress with and deserves that sort of attention. So maybe it's like a topic of conversation that should happen within the community, and I'm glad you talked about it.
Oh, thanks for giving me the platform to do so with this beautiful Survivor New York talk show.
Yes.
So, Jack, would you ever play another Survivor game again, or do you feel like you achieved what you wanted to achieve. You learned new things about yourself. Like, is there more for you?
You know, it's so hard to say because I love Survivor so much. Like, Survivor has been part of my life for 16 years now. And Survivor's the reason I was able to live in New York for 3 years. Survivor's the reason for so many different things. I mean, it was such a tough win for me. So, like, I feel like people usually say you win and you're done, but I don't think I'm a winner and done. I think I still have some fight left in me. I think I would prefer to just stick with 1 day games. I think the rush of it and then letting it go, I think I'm more okay with. I would be willing to do like another multi-day, but if we're being so real, I cannot afford that right now. I could afford it with a teacher salary, but I was unemployed for 6 months and now I work part-time minimum wage. So I cannot afford to play another 3, 4+ day LRG for the time being. So I'm gonna direct all of my survivor energy into my 1 day LRG, Chanceful Survivor. Apps will be out by the time this is up. Maybe, I don't know.
So here's your chance. So if you didn't know already, Jack is the host of his own live reality game, Chanceville Survivor. So, Jack, do you think after winning Survivor New York and like sort of experiencing one game that it sort of motivates you or inspires you into like your own game?
Hmm. I think yes. I think like when you play, you get to meet different people and you get to see what they value in games, things like that. You get to see behind the scenes of like production, what they're doing, like, oh, how can I make my game more streamlined, things like that. Um, I do fear that like a lot of the times like I over plan and like I think this year's seasons were planned like 2 years ago. I like literally my brain just like doesn't turn off when it comes to thinking about like my allergy for better or for worse. I'm constantly like editing, revising, coming up with new things or whatever, but I'm sure I have taken a lot of different like advice or like different things from different LRGs to like make my game the best it can be because I think it's the best it can be.
Yeah, I'm impressed by it. So Jack, any parting words before we end this? What anything you want to say to sum up your experience, or any parting words about your whole journey with winning Survivor New York?
You know, it's funny because I remember being so upset when I was an alternate for Survivor New York season 4. I was a forgotten alternate. Whatever. That story's in the past. But I remember like being like, like I'm mad. How can you reject me? Blah 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 blah. But sometimes you get rejected when you're not ready. And I think it took me, playing this past season and like winning that like, yeah, I, needed that rejection to like grow as a human being first before I could succeed later. So I think I'm taking that as like, you know what? I'm someone who can't handle rejection too much. And I think, that's partially part of the reason, like, why some friendships or relationships from my Surviving New York cast are not as strong as I would want them to be. But maybe I gotta just take a lesson from my own book and just not be afraid of being rejected by people and being rejected by things in life. And I think Surviving New York taught me that. So apply for season 10 of Surviving New York. And maybe I'll be on your season. Well, I'm not going to be
Well,
there.
you heard it here first, or whenever this comes out, that we are now accepting applications for season 10 of Survivor New York. So if you want your own journey, you can apply now. And if you want to do an interview like this, like Jack did, you need to win the game. So the first thing
Oh,
you can do to win the game is apply.
But if you
So,
don't, it's okay too.
and if you don't
yes,
get chosen and you become an alternate, you could still win 6 years later. So never give up.
exactly.
Never
And
give up.
biggest piece of advice for anyone applying, pack a bunch of food in your backpack. They don't confiscate it.
We might.
We might
You
now.
should.
Fact
No, no, change it
searches.
up.
You should because I had some protein bars. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, the tea that we
But people
learned.
had so much more food than I did. So
Ooh, okay. Good to know. Well, thank you everybody who tuned in for this interview. It was really fun talking with both of you guys. Until next time.